Welcome, one and all. This is the ancient journey. On today's journey, the Delphi murders. Before we get started, don't forget, if you enjoy our content, hit that like button, share the video, and subscribe. Now let's get started. That cell phone in your hand, it's everything to you, isn't it? As those pixels dance across the screen, the phone is everything from your best friend to your favorite movie to your directions home. At worst, it's a distraction, and at best, it's a lifesaver, but this time, it's something a bit more in between. This time, it's a mystery just waiting to be solved. It happens suddenly, doesn't it? Just as quick as those text messages fly from phone to phone. Your small town, pretty as a postcard and quiet as a church mouse, suddenly is the center of attention. And while no one knew your town's name just a minute ago, those cell phones are all lighting up with the story. Your town is now famous for something sinister: murder. It's a sunny February afternoon in 2017, and 13-year-old Abigail Williams and 14-year-old Liberty German are hiking along the Monon Trail Bridge in Delphi, Indiana. Abigail and Liberty, who were better known as Abby and Libby, were best friends, hiking along the historic trail and enjoying each other's company that day. It's a high, abandoned railroad bridge that spans over Deer Creek, where we find Abby and Libby that day, walking along, and there was that cell phone, Libby's, posting a picture of Abby walking on the bridge at 2:07 p.m. It was the last anyone would hear from them, but it was far from the last time anyone would hear from Libby's cell phone. The two were supposed to meet up with Libby's father at 3:15, and soon after they didn't show, the families of the two girls started searching the area. When they found no trace of the girls, they alerted authorities, who also found nothing. And then, around noon the next day, about a half-mile from that bridge that Abby and Libby were on, the one in that picture, the one on that cell phone, the bodies of Abby and Libby are found. Libby, so outgoing and athletic, and Abby, artistic and musical, both gone, senselessly in a set of murders that remain unsolved to this day. We don't know who killed poor Libby and Abby. In fact, we don't even know how they were killed. It's a strange detail in a case this public, but we do know a lot about that cell phone of Libby's. Just a few days after the murders, police release a grainy, rough image of a man, head down, hands in his pockets, taken from Libby's phone. And they also publish a recording from Libby's phone, one that gives you chills to listen to. A recording from Libby's phone of the man in the photo, one where he says to the girls,
Guys, downhill. Guys, downhill. Guys, downhill.
Libby, apparently sensing danger at this man approaching them, had set her phone to record and had captured the voice telling them down the hill, also capturing the image of the man who was likely her murderer. Police indicate that they have more data from the phone but don't release it, and it's not the last time the police seem to be holding back information. In April, police released more materials in the case, including a short video from Libby's cell phone that shows the grainy man walking along the deteriorating bridge. Updated sketches of the individual are released, and police state that the suspect may be local, with knowledge of the area and the trails, and may be hiding in plain sight. So who could have done it? Persons of interest trickle in throughout the years, and police investigate each one. In 2019, Paul Etter is 55 years old when he kills himself after a 5-hour standoff with police. His name had been called into a tip line for Abby and Libby's murders. Etter is on the run from police. he's wanted for the kidnapping and rape of a 26-year-old woman. After his suicide, his DNA is taken, but we've not heard any more about him. James Chadwell will spend the rest of his life in prison after being caught kidnapping a 9-year-old girl in 2021. Chadwell lives just 20 miles from where Abby and Libby were murdered, but no connection is made between James Chadwell and the girls. Daniel Nations, a registered sex offender, is arrested in 2017 and charged with threatening strangers with a hatchet. And in 2018, police announce he is not a suspect in the girls' murders. Thomas Bruce, a former pastor, is in prison for killing one woman and sexually harassing 2 others in 2018, but Bruce also is never connected to the murders. Charles Eldridge is arrested in 2019 for child molestation and solicitation, but again, this lead goes nowhere. But Libby's cell phone, that one that she heroically turned on to record the person who was likely her killer, had another secret to tell. In 2021, police come forward with a question to the public. Who is Anthony Schatz? They ask anyone who'd been in contact through social media with a user named Anthony Schatz to come forward and to use the Abby and Libby tip line. And a day or two later, police reveal another secret. The Anthony Schatz that they're looking for isn't a real person at all. Keegan Anthony Klein of Peru, Indiana, is in prison for 30 alleged crimes, ranging from possession of child pornography to obstruction of justice. Klein, who is 27 years old, isn't much to look at, but you wouldn't know that by looking at his social media profile picture. It's of a young man, fit, tattooed, handsome, and named Anthony Schatz. Keegan had set up a catfish profile to lure his victims, and on the day of her murder, Libby had been talking to him. Klein denies killing the girls and gives DNA samples to police and has not been charged for the murders. I don't remember talking to Libby, Keenan allegedly stated during an interview. I didn't even know who she really was until I saw it on the news. Libby's cell phone has tried to help investigators. It's even unveiled a secret about young Libby that no parent wants to hear about her talking to a dangerous predator. But while the cell phone has been forthcoming with details, Indiana State Police have been far less so. It's been 5 years since their murder, and police are still unwilling to disclose key facts in the case. Sometimes a benefit to law enforcement early on in high-profile cases, but now, after 5 years, it seems a bit strange and perhaps even a hindrance to the case. Police continue to speak with bravado in press conferences, often directly to the killer, even after all this time, announcing through media that they know a lot about the killer and that time is running out for them. But 5 years have gone by, and perhaps so much time that by now police have missed out on maybe their best suspect of them all. It's another secret not meant to be found, but once again, a secret let out into the open. In March of 2017, the FBI had obtained a search warrant for the property where the 2 girls were found murdered. The owner of that property is a man named Ronald Logan. While some of the warrant remains a secret, what has been discovered is that the FBI was looking to search all the buildings, vehicles, and electronic devices on his property. Included in that list of things the FBI were interested in were samples of Logan's hair and body fluids, and a search for any guns or cutting instruments that he owned. The warrant states that the suspect in the murders would have been bloody, and that an item of clothing, a souvenir perhaps, was missing from one of the girls. And in addition, it appeared that the girls' bodies had been moved or staged after their murders. Logan had been known to be violent with women in the past, and his general build matched the grainy man on Libby's cell phone video. And Logan had lied to police about his location the day the girls were murdered. Once again, it's a cell phone, desperately trying to help solve this case. Logan's cell phone data places him in the area of the Monon High Bridge, meaning he was likely near his home and the scene of the murder the day the girls were killed. Logan's property was searched in March of 2017, and it's unclear if anything was ever found. But we won't know. Logan was never charged and died in January of 2022. The recording on Libby's phone lasted just 43 seconds, and to this day, only a small portion of that recording has ever been released, and here again is the audio.
Guys. Guys. Guys.
In an interview, Ron Logan was asked to repeat the same statement, down the hill, and here's Ron Logan saying those words.
Down the hill.
Down the hill.
And now, let's hear the two back to back.
Down the hill.
Down the hill. Down the hill.
Down the hill.
Down the hill. Down the hill.
Down the hill.
Down the hill. Down the hill.
This murder is still unsolved. If you have information about the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German, you can call the tip line at 844-459-5786. Thanks for watching, and thanks for sharing the journey.